The search for the location of the biblical Eden has fascinated scholars, theologians, and explorers for centuries. This legendary paradise, described in ancient texts as the birthplace of humanity, is shrouded in mystery and intrigue. Among the various theories that have emerged, some scholars have turned their attention to the region near Ethiopia, drawing connections between the rivers mentioned in the Book of Genesis and the geography of northeastern Africa and the adjacent Middle East. In the Genesis account, Eden is described as a lush garden planted by God, from which flowed a river that divided into 4 headwaters: the Pishon, the Gihon, the Tigris, and the Euphrates. While the Tigris and Euphrates are well-known rivers in Mesopotamia, the identities and locations of the Pishon and Gihon have been the subject of much debate. Genesis 2:13 states, "The name of the second river is the Gihon. It winds through the entire land of Cush." In many ancient texts, Cush is associated with the area south of Egypt, corresponding to modern-day Sudan and Ethiopia. This textual clue has led some scholars to propose that the Garden of Eden could have been located in or near northeastern Africa, rather than solely within the boundaries of Mesopotamia. Turning to the Gihon, some researchers have identified this river with the Blue Nile, which flows through Ethiopia and Sudan, eventually merging with the White Nile and coursing northward through Egypt. The association with Cush strengthens this identification, since Cush was historically situated in the vicinity of these modern regions. The idea that the Gihon might refer to the Nile or one of its tributaries opens up intriguing possibilities. In this view, the source of the Nile, nestled in the highlands of Ethiopia, could be linked to the Edenic River described in Genesis. The Pishon River presents a greater challenge, as its name does not clearly correspond to any known contemporary river. However, some have speculated that it could refer to the Atbara River, another tributary of the Nile that originates in Ethiopia and flows through Sudan before joining the main river. Others have looked farther afield, suggesting that the Pishon could have been a now-vanished river, perhaps dried up over millennia, or one whose course has shifted due to geological changes. Ancient descriptions mention the land of Havilah as being rich in gold, aromatic resin, and precious stones, attributes that some researchers have associated with regions in Eastern Africa or Arabia, both known in antiquity for their wealth of gold and gems. The Ethiopian hypothesis is supported not only by the geographic clues in the biblical narrative, but also by the cultural and historical significance of the region. Ethiopia, one of the world's oldest continuous civilizations, is steeped in legend and religious tradition. Its rugged mountains, lush valleys, and mighty rivers have inspired countless stories of creation, kings, and lost kingdoms. Some traditions within Ethiopian Christianity hold that their land is directly connected to the origins of humanity and the divine. In the ancient city of Aksum, for example, legends persist that the Ark of the Covenant itself resides within the walls of a modest chapel, under the watchful care of its guardians. Furthermore, the ancient Egyptians also revered the headwaters of the Nile, believing them to be the source of life and fertility in their own land. They referred to the far-off, mist-shrouded regions of the Upper Nile as the land of Punt, or Ta-Netjer, the land of the gods. This mystical association between the Upper Nile and a divine paradisiacal origin mirrors the biblical depiction of Eden as a source of life-giving rivers and abundance. Archaeological evidence from the Horn of Africa and the Nile Valley reveals a rich tapestry of prehistoric settlements, some of which date back tens of thousands of years. These early cultures developed sophisticated methods of agriculture, metallurgy, and trade, interacting with neighboring regions in the Middle East and beyond. The ancient kingdom of Cush, for instance, flourished along the Nile in what is now Sudan, rivaling Egypt in power and cultural achievements. The presence of advanced civilizations in this area lends further credence to the idea that the biblical Eden could have been envisioned, or perhaps even inspired by, real places in northeastern Africa. Despite these tantalizing connections, the question of Eden's exact location remains unresolved. The narrative of Genesis is, after all, as much a theological and symbolic account as it is a geographical one. Its description of rivers, lands, and resources may have drawn upon the collective knowledge of ancient peoples, combining familiar geography with mythic elements to convey deeper truths about origins, innocence, and the relationship between humanity and the divine. Some scholars argue that the story of Eden was never intended to pinpoint a literal place on the map, but rather to evoke the idea of a primordial homeland, a place of perfect harmony, abundance, and communion with the Creator. In this sense, the rivers of Eden may symbolize the life-giving forces that sustain the world, rather than specific waterways. Nevertheless, the persistence of the Ethiopian hypothesis reflects a broader human impulse, the desire to root our stories in the landscapes we inhabit, to see in the contours of mountains, rivers, and valleys the echoes of our most ancient memories. The land of Ethiopia, with its dramatic topography and timeless rivers, continues to captivate the imagination of those who seek to uncover the origins of myth and history. As explorers and researchers continue to probe the secrets of Africa's ancient past, new discoveries may yet shed light on the enduring mysteries of Eden. The interplay between archaeology, anthropology, and sacred tradition offers fertile ground for future inquiry. Perhaps in the shifting sands of the Nile or the misty highlands of Ethiopia, we may one day find fresh clues to the story of the world's first garden. Yet the search for Eden is not only about geography and history. It speaks to something deeper within the human spirit, the longing for a lost paradise, a return to innocence and unity with the natural world. Across cultures and ages, this yearning has given rise to countless tales of golden ages and sacred landscapes. Whether Eden lies in the cradle of Mesopotamia, the highlands of Ethiopia, or exists only in the realms of myth, its story endures as a testament to our shared quest for meaning and belonging. As we reflect on the theories that place Eden in or near Ethiopia, we are reminded of the enduring power of ancient narratives to shape our understanding of the world. The rivers of Eden, whether real or symbolic, continue to flow through the imagination, nourishing the roots of faith, wonder, and discovery. In the end, perhaps the true location of Eden is less important than the journey it inspires. A journey into the deep past, across continents and cultures, and ultimately into the heart of what it means to be human. The rivers of Gihon and Pishon, whether they once flowed through the valleys of Ethiopia or the plains of Mesopotamia, invite us to explore not only the world around us, but also the mysteries within. The search for Eden, then, is an ongoing adventure, one that spans deserts, mountains, and the pages of history, drawing us ever closer to the sources of our own origins and the enduring hope for a world restored.